You're an Indian couple building a life away from India. Good jobs, maybe your first home, parents in India dropping hints about good news. One day you sit down and seriously say to each other, okay, I think we're ready to have a baby. But the moment you make that decision as an NRI, you're not just deciding baby or no baby. You're silently deciding what passport your child will hold, how expensive their birth and education could become, and who would raise them if something happened to you, and how Indian they'll actually feel at 18. Most NRIs only realize this when they're already in the middle of a crisis. A hospital bill that looks like a phone number, a child treated as a foreign student in India, or courts deciding guardianship because nothing was written down. So in this video, let's do it differently. In the next 15 minutes, you'll get a simple 4-pillar NRI baby blueprint: health, citizenship and law, money and education, and culture, plus support. So you can plan these big decisions calmly before life throws you into them. And the first decision starts much earlier than baby names or nursery colors. It starts with a question nobody asked your parents in India. Welcome to NRI Shaala. I'm Malvika, and this is where we simplify life abroad, from finance and taxation to the small decisions that make a big difference. As an NRI, you face a choice your parents probably never did. Do we have this baby here or fly back to India? If you deliver in your current country, you get continuity of care, familiar doctors, and in many places, your child might get that country's passport. The flip side? In a lot of developed countries, even with insurance, maternity, and emergency care can be brutally expensive, and you may not have parents or in-laws around for support. If you deliver in India, you usually get lower medical costs and a full support system. Parents, siblings, home food, someone to hold the baby at 3 a.m. But now you're dealing with long flights while pregnant, extra logistics, and your child won't get that foreign birthright citizenship. We could spend 10 minutes listing pros and cons, but there's one key takeaway you and your partner must agree on: your maternity budget number. In simple words, if we choose to deliver in this country, what is the maximum amount we might end up spending? Hospital, complications, travel, and family support included. Once you've got that number, even if it's a rough range, you suddenly see the decision more clearly. And to arrive at that number honestly, you have to confront the thing most people avoid reading: your health insurance. So let's move from the hospital room to the policy document for a minute. Imagine this very real scenario. You find out you're expecting next month. Are you in "thank God we're covered" mode, or wait, we're still in the waiting period mode? To keep it simple, there are 3 questions every NRI couple should answer before planning a baby abroad. Is maternity actually covered for both of us, and from when? Not just, oh, my company gives insurance, but is normal delivery covered? What about the C-section? And is there any waiting period? In a worst-case scenario, how much could we still pay from our pocket? That means understanding co-pays, deductibles, caps on maternity, and what happens if the baby needs NICU care. From what point is the baby covered as an individual? Is the baby covered from birth, or only after you submit forms, add them to the plan, or finish some waiting period? Once you have those answers, build what you could call your maternity envelope. Take the estimated package cost from the hospital or insurer, add a realistic buffer for complications, then add non-medical costs like flights for parents, unpaid leave, and extra help at home. That's your real exposure, not just the brochure number. Now, here's why all this matters beyond money. The country you choose to deliver in and how long you stay there doesn't just change your hospital bill. It also shapes what your child is on paper, which passport they hold, what rights they have in India, and what options they'll have at 18. So let's zoom out from hospital bills to something much longer term: citizenship and legal identity. A question almost every NRI couple asks at some point is, if our baby is born here, will they still be Indian? Can they have both passports? In many popular destination countries, a child born there may be eligible for that country's citizenship, depending on local laws at that time. India, however, does not allow dual citizenship in the strict sense. So if your child holds only a foreign passport, they're not treated as an Indian citizen under current rules. What they can often get is an OCI card, Overseas Citizen of India, which is basically a lifelong visa plus many economic rights in India. It makes visiting, living and working in India much easier compared to other foreigners, and it gives them parity with NRIs in many areas. But there are limits. They cannot vote in Indian elections, they cannot become MPs or MLAs, and certain government jobs and posts are off the table. So why does this matter at the baby stage? Because these choices ripple 18 to 20 years forward. Their passport and OCI status can affect which fee category they fall into if they study in India, what kind of jobs or exams they're eligible for, how easy it is for them to move back to India later if they ever want to. So it's worth having an honest conversation with your partner. Are you okay with your child having a foreign passport and an OCI card with all the pros and cons that brings? Or do you want them to have an Indian passport at some point? Even if you don't file any documents today, your philosophy should be clear. And once you start thinking about passports and rights, there's a tougher but necessary next question. What happens to that child if one day you're not around to make decisions for them? This is the part that nobody wants to imagine, but every NRI must. What if something happens to us? Who actually steps in to take care of our child in a country far from extended family? There are some hard truths here. Without a will naming a legal guardian, the courts in your new country, not your relatives or community, decide who gets custody. Foster care or involvement with state agencies becomes a real risk, mainly when there are no suitable relatives available or the court finds all relatives unsuitable. When willing and suitable family members exist, most courts strongly prefer placing children with them. But without clear documentation from you, the process can still become complicated, slow, and emotionally draining for your child. Now add financial assets spread between India and your host country, and the process can become complicated, slow, and emotionally draining for your child. So let's demystify what you need. A basic will that clearly states your choice of guardians and alternate options if your first choice can't step in. A financial power of attorney who manages your accounts and property if you're incapacitated. A healthcare proxy who can speak to doctors on your behalf for medical decisions. A simple emergency file, key documents, passwords, bank and insurance details, and contacts accessible by your trusted inner circle. Don't treat these as abstract legal chores. They're the last crucial act of parenting. And especially for NRIs, consult a cross-border lawyer so your documents work in both your host country and India. Now let's shift gears from legal prep to something that affects every single weekday. Who looks after your child day to day, and what does it cost? Here's a real test. On a random Tuesday at 10 a.m. 3 months after birth, who's with your kid? For NRIs, this usually means picking between two main models. Grandparents stepping in for a few months or biting the bullet and opting for paid care, daycare, or a nanny. If grandparents can travel and are willing, it's comforting culturally and emotionally. It can cost less than paid daycare, but it comes with hidden expenses. Flights, visas, maybe private health insurance, and the strain or obligations on their own lives back in India. Sometimes families pay grandparents a stipend, especially if they're giving up income or their own job, but even with love, there's a real cost to everyone, not just financial. If you go the daycare or nanny route, the out-of-pocket cost, especially in North America, Europe, or parts of the Gulf, can run as high as a second rent. For many NRI families, this means one parent taking a break from their career makes more financial sense, while others choose to keep both careers and absorb the childcare bill. The upshot? There's no universal right answer. But whether you depend on family or pay for care, work out both the direct and hidden costs and decide as a couple whose career, schedule, and ambitions flex and by how much. But life as an NRI parent isn't just sums and spreadsheets. Beneath all these logistics, there's a deeper quest, rebuilding a sense of home, miles from your roots. If you ask most NRI parents what's hardest about raising kids abroad, many say it's not the paperwork or the costs, but the feeling of starting from scratch alone. Your child grows up with different holidays, a mix of languages, and family on screen. Some parents try one parent, one language rules, story time in mother tongues, regional or cultural rituals brought from home, and annual trips to India, not just as vacations, but as a lifeline to roots and relatives and community. But building your village isn't only about your child's identity, it's your lifeline too. Seek out Indian associations, faith communities, expat and parenting groups in your city or town. Trust that friends can become family, the ones who will show up at 3 a.m. when fevers spike or you need a break. Don't ignore mental health either. The postpartum period, the first lonely winters abroad, the stress of doing it all without help, all this is real. Normalize talking about it, supporting each other, and even seeking professional help when needed. So as you plan your NRI family journey, don't just build a home for your kid, rebuild your village so you have all your roots and wings. So let's pull everything together before you go. If you're an NRI planning to have a child abroad, think of your preparation as 4 pillars. First, health and birth. Decide where you actually want to deliver and sit down with your partner to calculate that real maternity budget number. No guesswork, no assumptions. Then go through your insurance line by line so you know exactly what's covered for pregnancy, complications, and the newborn. Second, citizenship and legal protection. Talk through what passport and status you want your child to have and what that means for their relationship with India. Once that's clear, take one grown-up step you've probably been postponing. Put a basic will in place, name guardians, and create a simple emergency file that someone you trust can access if needed. Third, money and education. Don't wait for school admissions to start thinking about costs. Open a separate education fund as early as you can, even if it's a small monthly amount, and roughly price out what study here versus study in India looks like in today's numbers. Your future self will thank you for not leaving it to vibes and last-minute loans. And finally, culture and your village. Decide 2 or 3 things you absolutely want your child to inherit. Maybe it's language, certain festivals, or specific values, and build tiny rituals around them in your daily life abroad. At the same time, make a conscious effort to find or build your own community of parents and friends so you're not raising a child or handling your own emotions in isolation. You don't need to fix all of this in one weekend. But if over the next year you can take even one action in each of these 4 areas, you'll remove most of the big, ugly surprises NRIs usually face after having kids abroad. If this video helped you see a clearer roadmap, tell me in the comments where you're based and which pillar you want a deeper video on next: health, law, money, or culture. Share this with your partner or that one NRI friend who keeps saying, "We'll figure it out when the time comes." And if you want more content like this on NRI life, money, and family decisions, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos.